let's have a robust discussion about what's going on with the budget bill. Nobody's going to care about this AI thing for like years, but I'm telling you, what's happening right now is going to be remembered and remembered poorly. I want to do this with the three Americans, okay? Very different perspectives on what's going on, and you can benefit from each and all. Bill O'Reilly and Stephen A. Smith. Oh, and a quick nod, okay? Bill O'Reilly just came back from China, where he was getting this incredible experience of understanding where their head is, and they were celebrating him as the mountain of a man that he certainly believes himself to be. And Stephen A. Smith just signed another redonkulously big deal where he's going to do 2 shows for Sirius XM. So both of these men are coming off big wins, and it's good to see you both. Bill, I start with you. So the president is supposedly going at it with his own party about what this bill should be. How do you understand the dynamic, and what are you watching?
Okay, first of all, it's Stephen A.'s world. We just live in it.
True. Squirrels at best.
Every day, every way. You can't get away from the man. And if you try, he'll come to your house.
He's even on my soap opera.
Right, so he's everywhere. It's Stephen A. And it should be. Okay, it's a good thing for the country.
You see how he holds the gun?
Thank you. The bill, spending and tax, is very important for the Trump administration for one primary reason. It holds the tax rates where they are. The Trump administration believes that if the bill fails and taxes go up automatically, which is what would happen, that the country will enter a recession and that Donald Trump will be doomed by that recession. That is what this is all about. Now, you can pick it apart. It's easy to do. Elon Musk doesn't like it. Thibodeau doesn't like it for the Knicks. No one likes it, whatever.
Republicans don't like it.
What Americans need to understand is it's all about, for the president, averting a recession. He wants to keep the tax rates the way they are, and that's everything in this bill. One other thing. You were pretty fair in your encapsulation of the bill, Cuomo, but the CBO also issued today a projection that the tariff money coming to the USA will cover the $2.5 trillion deficit over 10 years. That has not been reported by the dishonest media at all. At all. In fact, I watched CNN at 7, and I thought we were going into a depression. It was like, oh my God, we have to sell everything because it's going to be Hooverville again. That's how they're doing it.
Right.
So I don't know. Nobody knows. But
no, I'm just saying that's what I mentioned,
Bill.
That's what I was talking about when I said taken at its most generous assessment.
Yeah, but you didn't mention it.
That's what the CBO score was, based on the original tariffs, which have already been changed. But I don't know how good, to me that's a straw man argument because they already changed that number. But
some are up. Some are down, okay? Some are up, some are down. But that should be on the record. You wouldn't argue with that. And the dishonest media in this country, which has now reached scandalous levels, all right, just ignores it because they want Trump to fail. Okay. They want the bill to fail. They want Armageddon in this country. That's what they want. And that's what they're going to push to get.
Stephen A., I want you to weigh in here.
First of all,
and that recession part also, what you're hearing about that and what you feel, but please go with it and congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. First things first, I know Bill O'Reilly, hold on to this moment. It's a rarity, but somebody's going to be on national television actually saying, we missed you, my man. I mean, you were gone a little bit too long. You were gone a while. I mean, we missed you. It's good to see you again. You look good after that long trip, okay? So welcome back to the States. Having said that, when you bring up the CBO, I'm going to bring up the CBO, and I'm thinking about the fact that they're talking about $2.4 trillion more dollars added to the deficit over the next decade. Approximately 11 million people without health insurance. Here's where I'm coming from with it. Obviously, you guys know the numbers, you know the intricacies that come along with how this stuff comes into play, what the House is going to play with, what the Senate's going to play with, what Trump's motivation as the President of the United States is at this particular moment in time. But that last part is what you have to understand most people are skeptical about because they ain't been around doing this for 50-plus years like Bill O'Reilly. They ain't been some best-selling author writing around the history of presidents and the history of America for all of these damn decades. They're not as astute in terms of what the issues really are and how it affects the average American the way that a Chris Cuomo does. So all they got to go on is that we've been hearing all of this noise about this $37 trillion debt that we have and how we've got to chip away at that. We've been hearing words like inflation. We've been looking at the job market and wondering when that's going to improve because I think the numbers show that only 37,000 jobs, were basically created in the last month or so, and it was projected to be about 110,000, but the number was 37. When you hear stuff like that, and then Bill O'Reilly comes on national television with Chris Cuomo, and he's saying, look, this is about Trump and keeping those 2017 tax cuts in place, making sure they don't expire so we don't spiral into a recession. You know what people are hearing? He doesn't want that because it'll make him look bad. And that'll ensure that he probably, he won't be in a position to help the GOP as they move towards 2026 and definitely 2028. And they're thinking along the lines that, once again, we're sacrificial lambs as American citizens, stuck in listening to and being at the mercy of some of these decisions that at the very best seem questionable at this moment in time. That's all I'm thinking about when I listen to what you had to say, Bill, just now. I'm not challenging you and what you're saying, the veracity of your comments, how accurate you are about it. I'm not challenging that. I'm just saying the perspective that you peel from it upon listening to that stuff leaves you a bit, shall I say, just disheartened that, when's progress going to be made? When is definitive progress going to take place as opposed to us hearing about projections and what other people's agendas are? And it doesn't seem like the American citizen seems to be the priority that it needs to be.
Talking about the big, beautiful bill. Stephen A. Smith's concern is, sounds like you guys aren't the focus again. It's all about a political cover play. Bill O'Reilly had said, no, this is about President Trump being worried about a recession, and people should know that there's a chance that the tariffs could cover any tax revenue shortfall. Now, did the CBO say that? Yes, but based on what? Assuming that the original tariff structure stayed in place for an extended period. It's already changed twice. We don't know how long it will be in play, but what we do know is that small businesses all over the country are getting crushed by paying 100% more for things that they were paying for 3 months ago. So the pain is real. Is the promise coming? That's where Bill O'Reilly wants to adjust perspective.
All right, number one, I'm not seeing the pain. They just opened a new restaurant in my town, and they're charging
Small businesses are feeling it
for a cheeseburger.
Small businesses are feeling it.
All right, well, fine.
Whoa, stop.
I'm not seeing a mass. No, wait.
Uh-oh.
Wait. I'm not seeing a mass amount of pain, and the data doesn't back it up. The data of bankruptcies doesn't back it up.
Spiked in the last month.
Okay. Then give me the data because I don't have it.
I'll give it to you.
Number two,
Ben, Google it, send it to me.
If it's true that there is massive pain, which I'm not buying because there's no data to back it up.
There is data.
Then there's going to be more pain. If the bill doesn't pass, because then consumers are just going to pull back. Joe Biden had 4 years of a good stock market, a relatively stable economy. There wasn't too much fluctuation. And that was driven by consumer spending. And here's Mr. Cotter for Stephen A. Smith. I'm Mr. Cotter, okay? When you have consumers spending money,
Am I Barbarino or Horseshack?
When they stop spending, well, you horse, but Shack wouldn't be the name that I'd use.
Horseshack?
But Washington is Stephen A.
Chris, don't give him an out.
So,
I want to hear what he has to say. I'm ready for him. Go ahead.
Thank you, Stephen. Shut him up. When you have consumers spending money, the economy is okay. If taxes go up for the wealthy and everybody else by the bill failing, then consumers are going to spend less and a recession is going to happen. It's impossible to predict how bad or whatever. It's like predicting the new Knicks coach. Who's going to be the new coach? Nobody knows. Everybody's got an opinion. Okay. Number two, this Medicaid, people are going to have no health care. They're in the streets. They're going to be dying, children. This is all a big bunch of bull. All right? All they want to do is say, if you are able-bodied, all right, and you can work, you need to look for work. And if you don't, you're not going to get Medicaid. That's reasonable. It's absolutely reasonable, okay? Because states like California and Oregon are using Medicaid money, Stephen A. They're using it for violin lessons, okay? There are no standards.
Absolutely.
The feds pump the money in. The Medicaid programs are developed by the states. The far-left progressive states just take it and waste it like crazy. You're telling me this doesn't need to be revamped? Yes, it does.
Okay.
So that propaganda doesn't fly, okay? And the final question, and this is probably the most important, is that we live in a country of confusion right now. All right, so Cuomo says he has data about the last month, and small business are folding.
Corporate bankruptcies in the first quarter were the highest they've been since 2010. I'm telling you, the pain with small businesses is real. They don't have the pockets to pre-buy inventory the way the big shots did.
An economist can just as easily lay that on the Bidens last year as Trump's first 3 months. It's simple to do. But what I'm trying to tell
it's simple to do,
is
but it would be irrational. That's all I'm saying.
You have to be, in your opinion.
No.
It's not irrational if there's some economist that says, look, Biden mismanaged the whole thing, and then in the first 3 months of Trump, it all came to bear. That's not irrational,
It's from
Cuomo.
the tariffs, Bill.
All right, it's your opinion.
It's not an opinion.
All right, but get back
the
to
numbers
Stephen A.
were lower during Biden's last quarter than they were during this first quarter. But go ahead. Can we get Stephen A in?
The economy isn't day to day. The economy isn't day to day.
Is a connection of dots of day to day that creates trends over time, and the tariffs threw a huge wrench into it that spooked cost structures and spooked consumers and spooked investors, and that's why everybody's adjusting their projections for our GDP.
But two things could be true, Chris. Two things could be true.
Yes.
Two things could be true. Two things could be true, Chris. You could be absolutely right with what you're saying, and I don't doubt it. But Bill is right when he says a lot of this is over a period of time. And so, you often see people looking at administrations and they're saying we're going to judge through the prism of history. Why? Because in the immediacy of the moment, you might not be able to deduce what's finite, factually correct and incorrect. Bill, let me get back to you. Here's what I would say to you. We started off the show with you congratulating me on the new deal about SiriusXM, and Chris has brought it up, and me signing with ESPN. Well, you know what? Those things just happened a couple of months ago. The kind of success that I'm enjoying at this particular moment, Bill O'Reilly has been enjoying for decades. For decades, okay? You've been number one for 16 plus years. Number one. That's what you show. We didn't get into the best-selling author and the number of books you did as a best-selling author and touring the country and giving speeches and getting invited to China, for statesmen there, and they want to hear what you have to say because everybody knows that you're connected to the president of the United States. He wouldn't have been on this show when we did a town hall if it wasn't for you. So we understand that. Bill, are you willing to concede the fact that that is your reality? That, dare I say, data doesn't tell the whole story, that you might be just a touch wrong when you talk about the impact that it's having on American citizens, when you talk about millions of people that might lose health care, when you talk about social programs that are going to be eradicated and eliminated, when you're talking about a lot of these things, it's possible, Bill, that both things could be true, that you're right. There needs to be changes to the system, and they're bloviating about what's really going to happen with Medicaid. That's true, but it doesn't mean that there's no suffering by the desolate and the disenfranchised along the way. People going to suffer,
look,
Bill.
Number one,
people going to suffer.
Stephen A., you know this because you're a pundit in sports. You're going to be wrong sometimes. And number two, if you're going to revamp the entire federal government system, there's going to be suffering. But you do the right thing. The right thing. And the Trump administration believes that if the tax cuts passed in 2017 do not continue, there will be massive pain for every American because the country will enter a recession.
That's an opinion.
That's what they believe.
Yeah, that's an opinion.
Is it right?
Yes, it is.
But is it right? Hold on.
That's what they believe.
He said it's an opinion. But is it right? Hold on, wait. Is it right for me to ask you your opinion? Because guess what, Bill? You have not been the star in media just because you've been some damn reporter and historian. You've also provided perspectives. You haven't just challenged people based on facts. You've challenged them based on your perspective and what you believe. So I ask you humbly, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about what they believe and how right they are? Do you believe that way?
I believe that consumer spending drives the American economy. Look, when I was in Beijing, I was there 1 week ago tonight, and I had 13 of the hardest men you have ever seen in your life sitting across from me, peppering me with questions about not only President Trump, but America. And my essential message to the Chinese was this: if you don't cooperate with the United States, you are going to suffer. China's going to suffer. 1.5 million Chinese citizens are going to suffer. So you find a way to cooperate with the United States to avoid the suffering. It's the same thing here. This bill isn't perfect. Musk can tear it to pieces. I can tear it to pieces. Even Cuomo can tear it to pieces, all right? Because it's a massive thing. But the key component is that the 17 tax cuts worked. And the Trump administration wants to continue that.
They worked for the top.
So I say it worked for everybody.
No.
Unemployment was lower than 4%.
Not because of the tax cuts.
Lower than 4%.
Despite the tax cuts.
Under Trump.
Not because of the tax cuts. Tax cuts didn't pay for themselves. And until the pandemic and we dumped all that money into the economy, that's what it was.
I'm going to have to gag you, Cuomo, because you live in a world that you create. Under Trump's first term, working class wages reached record levels.
Not because of the tax cuts.
Oh, come on. Don't get
upset.
But
make points. Don't get angry. Just make insights.
Hold on. Chris, let me come from my perspective, listening to what Bill just said. In the 2017, you had the tax cuts. In 2020, it was widely believed had it not been for COVID, the economy was thriving and Trump would have gotten reelected, right? We've all talked about that. Evidence of that one could deduce showed up in 2024 when he was reelected as the 47th president, and he got more black voters than he had before, or a Republican had before, more young voters, more minority voters, had won every swing state, et cetera, because the belief was that the economy would be in a better state with him. So does that not make Bill's argument a bit more easier to stomach if we take into account how people were feeling about him because of what we saw from the tax cut in 2017 and what his status was in 2020 before COVID, and how the fact that he ended up being reelected in 2024. Does that not make sense? I'm asking. I don't know.
Of course it makes sense. Is there a perception? Of course. Is that why Trump won? No, he won because the Democrats blew it. And if they hadn't had a guy who promised to be a one-term president, who was clearly in decline, as you and I and Bill were talking about long before it was common parlance, and then completely forgot that they're in a democracy and forced a candidate on people that had never been popular, they may have well won that race. But the idea that the 2017, 2015 tax cuts were a clear win is countered by the CBO, who without the pandemic spending says they did not pay for themselves and they heaped onto the deficit because of the lack of revenue. And the graph is right in front of your face. So the idea that that's not what it was is based in fact. Was it part of a narrative about the economy that was doing well under Trump? Yes. And politics is about perception more than reality, and he won. But the idea that extending the tax cuts will make a big difference, I don't accept. But we'll see how this bill plays out. I got to jump. Everybody's yelling at me, and but I'm okay with it because I love this conversation. Bill O'Reilly, thank you. We'll continue.
Wait a minute.
Yes?
Where are you jumping to, Cuomo? There's nobody better than
I
Stephen
agree.
A. and me.
I agree. I would do the whole show with you guys every night.
Who could you be jumping to?
I know. I got to go. I got McCarthy. I got to.
You know,
For what?
you do have me agreeing with Bill on this one, Chris. I mean, who's better than us? I mean, I must admit that.
I mean, I've got to tell you,
that's
I've
right.
never
Where
enjoyed
you going,
conversations
Cuomo?
more. I got to tell you, I don't know.
Let's go ahead, y'all.
I'll be honest. I'm not going anywhere better. I'll be honest. I could spend
Why
time
don't you
with you
get
guys.
your show under control, Cuomo?
Listen, I'm just
get
a
your
cog.
own show under control.
I'm just a cog.
You don't
I'm
know
not,
what you're doing.
I'm
You
not
don't
Bill
even know where
O'Reilly
you're
Enterprises. I'm not the Boer. I'm not SAS. I guess you only make it in this business if you're a three-initial guy. If you're not BOR, if you're not SAS, you're just POS. Gentlemen,
works.
I got to jump.
CC works.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.